My parents called demanding $50,000 immediately. No explanation, no reasoning, just send it now, in a tone that made my stomach twist. My first thought, something terrible had happened. Was my father sick? Was someone in the hospital? Without questioning them, I booked a flight and showed up at their house, unannounced. What I found wasn't a crisis at all. Instead, wedding plans were spread across the dining table. Laughter filled the room, and my spoiled sister, who had resented me my entire life, was flashing a ring, bought with my fear. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about family love. Before I go further, hit like, drop your location, and tell me what you'd do if your own parents manipulated your emotions this way. My name is Samantha, and growing up I learned early what my role in the family was. I noticed the little things, fixed problems before anyone asked, and took responsibility for chaos that wasn't mine. Outwardly, our family seemed normal, a quiet suburban home. Holiday dinners scented with turkey and pine candles. Photos updated every few years in neat frames. But inside, there was an unspoken hierarchy everyone followed. My father demanded order. His word ended discussions. My mother valued harmony, at least its appearance smoothly, diffusing conflict while quietly deciding who should sacrifice for peace. And then there was my younger sister, the center of attention, the one everyone orbited. Being 5 years older meant I became useful early. I walked her to school, waited for her outside classrooms, learned to reheat leftovers and apologize even when I hadn't done anything wrong. Her tears were emergencies. Mine were attitude problems. I remember missing an after-school art program in middle school because she didn't want to walk home alone. Or a parent-teacher meeting where my good grades were quickly overshadowed by my mother talking about my sister's dance recital. These weren't dramatic moments. They were small, repetitive, and that's what cut the deepest. By college, I knew two things. Nothing would ever be handed to me, and if I wanted a different life, I had to build it myself. I worked, studied, stayed invisible, and eventually moved to a city where my family name carried no weight. From the outside, it looked like distance. From the inside, it felt like freedom. Still, a reflex stayed with me. If parents call, you go. If they sound worried, you act. If there's a crisis, you handle it. That reflex is exactly why I almost sent that money without thinking. But this time, something felt wrong. I didn't transfer the funds immediately. For years, I reacted first, thought later. I called my mother, and she didn't answer directly. She mentioned stress, bills, repairs, the usual vague excuses. When I pressed for details, she deflected. Do we really need to get into all that now? My father's voice came next, firm and irritated. He insisted it was urgent, that I was overthinking, that if I trusted them, I'd just help. The call ended with a reminder. Family steps up when it matters. I sat staring at my phone long after the call ended. Everything sounded familiar, but the timing didn't. They hadn't called like this in years, not since I moved away. Not since I'd proven I could thrive alone. And they'd never demanded such a sum without giving a reason. That night, I barely slept. Every imagined scenario, hospital rooms, legal paperwork, life-altering decisions played through my mind. By morning, I realized I couldn't just wire the money. I made a decision I had never made before. I booked a flight. I didn't tell them. I told myself it was to surprise them. The truth, I needed to see things for myself. The flight seemed endless. I watched families in airports, listened to conversations about vacations and lost luggage, and wondered how many had hidden tensions at home. By the time I picked up a rental car, my hands were gripping the wheel. Pulling into my parents' neighborhood, something struck me immediately. Every single light in the house was on. The light spilling from the house wasn't harsh or urgent. It was warm, inviting, like someone had just arrived for tea. I stayed in the car a moment longer, engine idling, trying to steady my racing heart. Whatever was happening inside, I was about to see for myself. Deep down, I already knew this visit would change more than just a conversation. I killed the engine but lingered, taking in the familiar sight, the same porch light, the bushes trimmed into the shapes my mother preferred. Nothing here screamed crisis. When I stepped inside, the first thing that hit me was the smell. Fresh coffee, sugar in the oven, warmth. Not antiseptic, not panic, not the tension I'd carried across the country. My mother looked up from the kitchen island and froze for just a heartbeat before forcing a smile. Samantha, you didn't say you were coming. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay, I said. She exchanged a quick, practiced look with my father. He lounged in his chair, flipping through a magazine like it was any other afternoon. I thought this was urgent, I said, keeping my tone even. It is, she replied a bit too quickly. Just not in the way you think. That's when my eyes landed on the table. Neatly stacked envelopes, color swatches, and a thick binder bristling with tabs. I didn't have to open it to know what it was. My chest tightened as the pieces clicked into place. My sister appeared a moment later, phone in hand, glowing with a light that had nothing to do with worry. She stopped, smiled as if my arrival were some happy coincidence she hadn't orchestrated. "You're here early," she said. I noticed the ring immediately, catching the overhead light bright heavy, expensive, completely at odds with the story I'd been fed. I didn't speak at first. I just let the house speak for itself. The fridge humming, the oven timer ticking, the ordinary noises of a family not in crisis. My mother began to talk, explaining how stressful the planning had been, how costly everything was, how lucky my sister was to have found someone who loved her. My father nodded, arms crossed, waiting for me to absorb it. Then it hit me, not anger, but clarity. They hadn't called me out of concern. They had called knowing I would come, because I always did. Because for years I had been the solution they reached for when something needed to be handled quietly. A familiar instinct stirred, telling me to stay calm, to smooth things over, to help. But another voice, calmer, firmer, pushed back. I wasn't home out of love. I'd been summoned like a tool. And standing there, staring at wedding plans built on my fear, I realized I wasn't going to react automatically this time. Whatever happened next would be a choice, not a reflex. I finally broke the silence. "So," I said, nodding toward the binder, "this is the emergency." My mother hesitated, then let out a small sigh, as if I were the difficult one. "We didn't want to worry you. Planning a wedding is stressful, and your sister has been overwhelmed." Overwhelmed. I glanced at my sister, leaning casually against the counter, scrolling through her phone, completely at ease. She caught my gaze and tilted her hand, letting the ring catch the light again. "Isn't it beautiful?" she said. "He really went all out." I said nothing, turning back to my parents. "You asked me for $50,000? You said it couldn't wait. You didn't explain why." My father cleared his throat. "We didn't think details mattered. You're doing well. You can afford it." There it was. Not a request a given. For what? I asked. Flowers? The venue? The dress? My mother's smile tightened. "Don't be dramatic." "I'm not," I said softly. "I flew across the country thinking someone was in danger." My sister rolled her eyes. "You're always like this, making everything about you." Those words unlocked something I'd held inside for years. "I didn't make this about me," I said. "You did when you lied." She laughed, short and sharp. "Lied? Mom said you'd help. You always help." I looked at my mother. She didn't deny it. "How long?" I asked. "Have you been planning to ask me for this?" My father shifted uncomfortably. "That's not important." "It is to me," I said. Finally, my mother spoke. "We knew if we explained, you'd overthink it. We needed you to act. Act, like always." I drew in a slow breath. And the money I'd been sending every month, they froze. "What about it?" my father said. "You said it was for medical bills, for repairs? That things were tight." I gestured around the room. "Nothing here looks tight," my sister scoffed. "That's not the same thing," I said. She straightened her posture. "That money was for the family. This is my wedding." I actually laughed. The sound caught all of us off guard. "So let me get this right," I said. "I helped cover your bills, and now you expect me to fund a wedding too." My mother stepped closer, lowering her voice like she used to when I was a teenager. "Samantha, please, we raised you. We gave you everything." "No," I said. "You gave me responsibility. That's not the same as giving me everything." My father stood abruptly. "That's enough. This isn't a debate. We're telling you what we need." There it was again. Need. I pulled out my phone calmly, not aggressively. "I've kept track," I said. "Every transfer, every payment hit adds up to far more than $50,000. My mother's face drained of color. "Why would you do that?" "Because I stopped trusting vague answers." My sister crossed her arms. "You're really going through with this now?" "Yes," I said. "I am." I flipped through photos, not showing them yet. "Funny thing is, while you were claiming you were struggling, you were posting pictures online, expensive dinners, shopping trips, weekend getaways." Her eyes widened. "You were stalking me." "I was paying attention," I said. "There's a difference." She glanced at my parents for backup. "Tell her she's being ridiculous." My father's voice hardened. "You're crossing a line." "No," I said. "I finally see the line." I turned back to my sister. "Do you even realize how much I gave up so you wouldn't be inconvenienced?" She shrugged. "That's what older sisters do." Something inside me went cold, not angry, just clear. "Then listen carefully," I said. "I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore." My mother gasped. "You don't mean that I do?" "No more money." My sister's face twisted. "You can't just decide that I can." "And I am." My father slammed his hand on the table. "After everything we've done for you," I met his eyes. "You mean, after spending the college fund on her?" Silence hung heavy. My mother whispered, "That was for the family." "For her?" I corrected. My sister exploded. You're selfish. You have a good job, a nice life. What's $50,000 to you? It's the price of my peace, I said, and I'm done paying it. She started crying loud and dramatic. You're ruining my wedding. I didn't flinch. I hadn't promised anything. My mother reached for my arm. I stepped back. We need that money, she said. We already told people, I replied. That's your problem. My father pointed at the door. If you walk away, don't expect forgiveness. I nodded. That's fine, my sister screamed. You're heartless. I shook my head. No, I just stopped letting you weaponize my heart against me. I grabbed my bag, my hands steady. That surprised me most of all. This ends now, I said. No more payments, no more emergencies, no more guilt. My mother sobbed. My father stared at the floor. My sister froze, like she'd never imagined a world where I said no. At the door, I paused. I didn't come here to fight. I came because I was scared for you. Remember that? No one spoke. I stepped into the cold air. My chest felt lighter than it ever had. Behind me, the house buzzed with voices, but they sounded distant, like a life I'd already left behind. Messages started pouring in. My mother first long paragraphs about family sacrifice and disappointment. Then my father, shorter and colder, reminding me of all they'd done. Finally, my sister angry and accusatory, claiming I'd ruined her future. I didn't respond. The next morning, I canceled the recurring payments. Less than a minute. No speeches, no theatrics, just quiet confirmation. A flicker of guilt tried to pull me back, but it passed almost instantly. Word traveled quickly through the family. An aunt called cautiously. A cousin texted. When asked, I told the truth calmly, without exaggeration or defense, just facts. And somehow, that mattered more than I expected. The wedding changed. Venue downgraded, guest list shrank, tone shifted from celebration to quiet damage control. My name wasn't mentioned, but I felt it in every pause. Back home, life continued. Work deadlines, morning coffee, evenings that belonged entirely to me. The silence from my family was odd at first, like a missing hum, but it soon became peace. One night, sitting on my couch with the window cracked, I realized something vital. I wasn't waiting for the next demand, disguised as love. For the first time, my life felt my own. No apologies, no acknowledgement, but I had chosen myself. I hadn't lost my family that day. I had just stopped letting them take me with them. I used to believe family meant endurance, that love meant silent sacrifice. Now I know better. True love doesn't drain you. It doesn't punish you for saying no. Walking away wasn't cruel. It was honest, and honesty gave me my life back. If this story resonates, you're not alone. Share your thoughts, tell me where you're listening from, and subscribe for the next story.